G'day and welcome to the Jade Rat. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we finally, after just over 3.5 years, we have finally finished this sketchbook. This is a standard A4 size sketchbook. I believe it was sort of like a mixed media sketchbook, and it has a hardcover canvas front. So front and back. I actually created the black paint on this cover, so I don't know if you can see here. The black paint is actually an oil paint created from charcoal, so I made that pigment myself, and I bound it into linseed oil and then essentially used it as the base for this sort of galaxy print here. Yeah, so let's get started. The sketchbook itself is pretty cheap, but yeah, so there we go. It's me, started in December 2020, and been slowly chipping away at it in order to finish it up. This one, sketchbook, is not, I guess, a refined sketchbook. It's much more of an experimental area. This is a swatch of fabric. I was testing out fabric paints and mixing acrylic media using a fabric medium to see if it would stick. So how, whether it's on its own or whether it's mixed in with the medium, and how that affects the quality of the fabric itself. Here we've got some swatches of different materials that we could use, media, oil pastels, pencil, watercolor, acrylic, and essentially just seeing if I have paper of a similar quality to this. Pretty much it's just a cut off of one of these papers. How would it behave and what is the best thing to use? And you'll see as we go along, definitely this is not very good paper in terms of a water medium, so yeah, definitely oil, pastels, markers and pencil tend to do well. First up we've got some gouache trials. This is using some really cheap gouache, and cutting out bits and pieces from some magazine and using them as reference. I really like these flowers. They look the best, I think. Yeah, going on. Mostly just sticking stuff in. This sketchbook is much more collagey than my previous sketchbooks. I've got some watercolor artwork here. On a funny note, I'm using some scrapbook paper. And then these are alcohol markers, and you'll see that as expected with the alcohol markers, and using a magazine clip as reference, they definitely bleed through on here. You can see it there. It's the same images on the other side, and I've just stuck in some sketches here for some designs for characters. Same thing here, cutting out some photos of people and trying to do them. As you can see, the angle makes it very obvious, but I can't do mouths, and it took me ages, and then I ended up cutting it out and trying to stick a replacement piece there, and then the bleed through on the back. That's where you can see I've stuck it in, and just some like sketches that I've done on loose bits of paper that I've stuck in. Same thing here. This is a pressed geranium flower. It's kind of settled in there. This was again from a magazine, I think the same magazine, and these are ink, dip pen and ink drawings, trying to copy out that pose. So smaller one here, and then a bit more detailed, and you can see here very closely there's the thumbnail too. Very collagey, and this is sort of just a dumping ground for extra bits of paper that I had lying around, and then I kind of filled in the gaps. A sword, profile, an attempt at feet, strawberry, that's fun, and some little bits and pieces in the middle. This page is probably one of my favourite in the sketchbook. Again, I think this was some sort of ad for like handbags, perfumes or something. Cut it out and then essentially just copied out each of the portraits. I like their laughing expression, is quite hard to do, so I was really happy with the way that this one came out. Next, again, just more bits of paper just glued in. Here we've got, covered in tracing paper, is an oil pastel done around 6 months into this sketchbook. Again, reference, I had a really hard time matching the reference. I think the eyes are too close together here, probably benefited from a bit of a gap, as you can see, but yeah, I liked it. Do have that tracing paper here, and of course swatching out the colours because I'm using the Pentel oil pastels. Next we've got back end, the hobbit hole, and the green door with the handle at the very centre, sort of end like creature, and then the banner of the Tree of Gondor, done in these very, very simple markers. I believe they were just standard like Faber-Castell texture style markers. Another copy of a clipping from a magazine. There are two here, so yoga poses. I believe the article was about, you know, yoga and how good it is. And I've definitely kind of created these shapes in between to make it fill up that negative space. These were all done generally using dip pen, just some triangles again, as a way to stick stuff in and exercise the hand. This is a parrot, so newspaper magazine clipping there, and then the replication. This parrot is done in, I believe it's watercolor pencil, so putting that base color down here especially, and then coming in again with these pencils to get some of that detail in the feathers. And then this one is gouache. I don't really know how to use gouache. I'm not a gouache person, but yeah, this was one where I was just trying to get colours, so that gradient here and the sunset, and trying to match them up as they go. More random bits of stuff stuck in. Definitely the opposite sides of the page become sort of like a dumping ground. I do particularly like this hibiscus. This hibiscus was done in watercolours onto some sort of like cardstock paper. So not a watercolour paper, but I think it came out really nicely. And then here, a similar thing, we've got a magazine clipping of what appears to be Mount Sonder. I don't know where that is, but and then done in a bunch of different media. So gouache was the last one that I did. I didn't like it, and this paper doesn't really handle really watery gouache very well. And then we've got coloured pencil and water-based marker, very faintly written in the corner here. So, you know, again, just trying to catch the areas where there's light reflect, and the rocky sort of faces. Next, more stuff stuck in, coloured paper. These would be offcuts from like making cards, and I would have like these random bits that don't fit in elsewhere, so I would just stick them in, and then have a watercolour card reject kind of stuck in. That being said, I do really like this tree though, and then you'll see here I've abandoned this painting. This is actually honey. I don't know if you can tell, but it's upside down. so the honey should be dripping down like this, and then I stuck it upside down and then tried to copy that shape rather than thinking about the honey. But the gouache doesn't really work well for this. I was trying to write down some notes for something. I think it was a Skillshare class, but I kind of painted over it, went around it with it's an ink pen that is like a water brush, but it's got ink fluid in it. This is a Dracula Mihawk, and then I attempted to figure out how to control that brush pen. Scribbles my name, and this is the one. It's by a brand called the Paper Mill, which is a sort of lower grade, a sort of discount art supply brand. But yeah, they make pretty okay brush pens. Trying out sort of a calligraphic hand. Here we've got a cup and saucer done in a sort of mosaic collage style. Yeah, again made from scraps of other projects that were being done at the time. I really attempted to draw my bird Snowy, but it looks a little deranged. And here, similar thing, so we've got bread. So bread, croissant, and these were done in the Pentel oil pastels. And the idea was to create this sort of standalone food items, particularly like this one, that could be made into stickers at some point. Yeah, I really like the sort of vibrancy that oil pastels give, and they make the colours look very joyous. Yeah. Similar theme. Some cake and 2 drinks. I think I just looked up like photos of cocktails or something, and bakery goods, and essentially just tried to copy them. And this one in particular, I've actually created into stickers as a trial, and I think it came out pretty well. Yeah, again, really like this orange to red to deep purple color gradient there. From this side, we kind of switch it up to a colored pencil, mostly as a way for me to burn down the amount of colored pencil that I had. I think I've kind of donated the pool of color pencils that we were using to create these 2 portraits into our group, the Northern Art Nook, which kind of has now like an inventory of art supplies that people can use during our sessions. Yeah, this one is like a pack of pencils that you get at like a restaurant for the kids. Not very pigmented, but yeah, it is something that you can do. Another one here, more coloured pencil. This paper tends to do coloured pencil pretty well. Yeah, and if you press down really hard, certain areas you can get that detail that you're looking for. Also works well for just sort of quick, sketchy sort of work. Once again, a hibiscus. Just really liking the hibiscus. As always, I like this interesting coloration here. Some One Piece inspired work too. Once again, just trying to get a handle on the colored pencil. Haha, get a handle. Yeah, it's like referencing Young Scrolls, who creates interesting music using dialogue from the video games, Elder Scrolls video games. So, but here are some hands. So I believe they're mostly my hand, kind of, sort of getting each of the vibes, and really trying to see if I can get the planes of each hand, each surface done. And these are sort of just ideas, so writing down ideas for potential things. And then we get to Inktober preparation. I wrote down the prompts for 2021, and then I generally like to pick a creative constraint, where maybe it's related to something. So in this case, it was related to Lord of the Rings and the wider Tolkien legendarium. So essentially what I do is I find ideas or concepts from your constraint that match the prompt, and then some of these can do some thumbnailing. Alcohol markers once again, and just testing them out, seeing how they are. This is another character from One Piece. Yeah, and I really like that pose, but I believe it was like a copy from an image found elsewhere. These are some concept sketches for one of my cousins was like, oh, it'd be really cool if you could design a tattoo. I don't know if they ended up getting that tattoo done or not, but I did kind of come up with some ideas for them. And this is a sort of sacrificial paper to stop things from bleeding through. Naruto, of all people, has made a return. I think I was testing out more colours and just getting a feel for the new markers that I had. And then on the flip side, in the bleed through, I went over the planes of the face. And you would have seen those sort of portrait, like how they different skin tones have different colour bases. And I kind of just did that on the reverse of the marker, the bleed through. More just random faces that I did not finish. Usopp, again, just picked 3 random colours out of the bucket of alcohol markers, and then just trying to draw them. Similar thing, do some pink on the other side. Jellyfish. Some jellyfish here. Sea life. Crocodile. And someone in a poncho. Don't know what it is. This is an acrylic painting done of Boromir in Lord of the Rings. Does it look like Sean Bean? Not really, but yeah, it is a thing. I do like the reflective zones, the bags under the eyes. Has a really good, I think, look to it, which tends to happen in acrylic paintings. This is just a random, like when you have excess paint and you just want to use it up, it generally goes into one of these things. And then we've got Theoden King here, again from the Lord of the Rings. You can see the acrylic paint is quite thickly laid on there. Yeah, really like this one. I like the shadows and the hair, the planes of that face coming through. More acrylic landscape. I think this was just a quick one where you just kind of use up what you have. Reflections there, trees, like these trees. Elrond, didn't really like this one, but it is there. I like the reflections and the circlet, but other than that, not too interested in it. And then again, using an acrylic background and then the brush marker to create sort of line work over the top you know, sort of general eucalyptus-y style leaves, sunset with mountains, trees, and a lake. This is one of those ones where you like draw a blob and then you develop around it. So we've got a bunch of different things: car, windscreen, bat wings, sunglasses. I think this is a dragon. Looks like a chicken, dragon chicken. Tongue. Similar thing. I like to sketch out a bunch of ideas, and so had ideas for like tarot cards, and then concept sketches. In this case, it was the sun. I think it's one of the only ones I've actually done is the sun. Again, snowy in the brush pen marker. This is the Black Knight from Monty Python, Quest of the Holy Grail. I wanted to make it into a sticker because I have the one where he's standing, you know, holding the sword at the start of that scene. I have that, and I did make that into a sticker, but I wanted to make a set where he's progressively losing limbs, but I didn't get further. I just did that one. Next, back to coloured pencils. Big Mum concept. You can tell when I like going through like a phase of watching a lot of One Piece, because it'll come up again. This is the sticker I was referring to before. This was an Inktober piece from way back, and I just made it into something. This is the sticker test page. I got a cricket around this time. Actually no, I got a cricket last year, so yeah, been using that, and then I would just retroactively stick it in here. Same thing, when you're doodling on pieces of paper, I just kind of stick them in, mostly done in ballpoint pen. More concept sketches for the tarot cards, the sun, using ink, so yellow ink to highlight the golden glow of the sun. I bought a bunch of nibs at an antique store, dip pen nibs, and as well as some turpentine stains, and essentially just trying out how do they look, thickness of the lines, the difference in how they hold ink. And then we've got more concept sketches for the next card, which would have been the Fool. So listing out what are the common themes among them, and then different poses match that. And then finally, before we pause for the day, is an acrylic painting of the Batman. Yeah, really like this movie. It's great. We need more Detective Batman. Yeah.